What's up, skeptics? Welcome to another episode of Reason to Doubt, your source for all things skeptical. I'm Jordan, and today I'm back for however long that lasts. I've been gone a while, some of you have noticed. I haven't really been posting, though I've been kind of elsewhere on the internet. And while I've explained what's going on to other people, like I've talked about it on Dapper's channel, and I've talked about it in like other chats I've had with people, I never have like taken the time to talk to you folks, the people who actually like watch my content and stuff, and tell you what's happening. So that's what I'm doing right here, live in front of all of you. So bottom line up front, so you don't have to stick around if you're just interested in what's going on. A congruence of factors, a maelstrom of nonsense have led to me just not having time for hobbies. Something had to give, and this was the hobby that had to give. It's nothing dramatic. I'm not deleting the channel. I might even post sometimes. But until something changes, I just don't have the time to dedicate to this and give it the time that it's due. So, not exactly going anywhere, but don't be surprised if this situation continues. But what situation, you might ask? Why is this happening? So it's been just a whole bunch of factors that have compounded over time that have just led to me being in the state I am today. So going back, I started this channel originally with my buddy Jared McComb, who was on this channel before. And we did it to talk about skepticism. We didn't ever expect anybody would watch us. We just wanted to kind of shoot the shit. And if anybody wanted to see it, great. And so I always did it with him. And just kind of like background on me personally as a person, I don't keep slack in my life. Like if I have free time, I'm going to fill it with something always, forever. And so anything happens, there's just no slack to absorb it. That's just, it's not changing. That's just the way I am. So I went into all this with no slack in my schedule. And then last year, September-ish, Jared decided that he didn't want to do YouTube anymore. He just wasn't feeling it anymore. Apparently, if you aren't autistic, you lose interest in things over time. You don't just have the same interests forever. I wouldn't know that, but I've been told that by other people. So yeah, he decided he was done. No problem. I'd always done the heavy lifting when it came to like doing the research and the debunking and outlines. But Jared handled all the other stuff. He handled all the thumbnails. He handled the editing. He handled the descriptions. All of the other stuff that I found boring, didn't like doing, he did because he enjoyed it. So when he was gone, I had to do it. And editing videos sucks. I don't find any joy. It's a huge chore. I really don't like doing it, and I'm not very good at it. And so yeah, it just takes me a while. But I was able to absorb that and just kind of, I do enjoy this hobby a great deal. So I just kind of kept going. And then right after that, you may have noticed a fascist got elected to lead my country in last November. In case you've been living under a rock somehow, Donald Trump is our president. And boy, it is exhausting to live under a burgeoning fascist dictatorship. It's really tiring, you guys. It kind of just sucks all the wind out of you. And that's coming from me as a middle-aged, white, cisgendered, heterosexual guy who, like, okay, I'm autistic, so I might be a target at some point, but like, I am not currently being targeted personally in any way. And it's exhausting for me. And of course, many people that I care about a great deal are being targeted. I have, trans friends. I have queer friends. I have non-binary friends, all of whom this administration would rather not exist, and that is very frightening to me. And I'm sure to all of you. So, yeah, that just kind of really sucked the oxygen out of the room. But I was able to keep going through that. But as a result of that, I started. Hey, Pibblepunk, how's it going? Thanks for showing up to this farewell tour. I don't know what the hell this is. Anyways, as a result of that, though, I started organizing in my town. I live in the suburbs of a relatively blue city on the East Coast. But I joined a group. I joined 5051, but we work with various other groups in our area. The socialist groups in our area are great, and we work with them too. And so I've gotten myself involved with organizing protests and other sort of activities in my area. We've been doing usually about once a month. We do something. My role in that is relatively minor. I mostly provide security and logistical support and help volunteers feel safe, but it still takes, time and mental energy. That's something that I think is very important. I think that of all the things that I do, it's probably the single most impactful thing that I do. Um, and I'm trying to do more. But I think if all of the people who are Vishanti is absolutely correct. If all the people who are impacted by this, that don't like what's going on, that are paying, if every single one of us got into the streets, uh, things would be different. And a lot of people have been, more people over time. Um, Punk says they've been to the protest first time ever this year. That's fantastic. Um, we just gotta keep that momentum up. I think that protesting, it does a lot of things. This is kind of a side tangent, but whatever. Protesting does a lot of things. First of all, it tells people they're not alone, which is super valuable. I can't tell you how many people I've had come up to me as an organizer at a protest and say that they felt, even in a city like mine, which is very blue, so they're certainly not alone. They felt alone, like they were the only people who felt this. And so it shows people that they're not alone. It also shows those in power that there are those who oppose them, and are willing to get up out of their chairs and do something about it. It puts all these people out of their homes and into the streets, and that puts them in contact with each other, which allows you to build community, allows you to engage in mutual aid. Exactly, like Vishanti said, mutual aid, joining other organizations. There's always people out there getting out the vote. There's always people out there raising money for food banks or for various homeless shelters and things like that. It's a great opportunity to do all the good things that we need to do in order to protect the marginalized against this fascist dictatorship. So, yeah, it just as an aside, if you want to get involved, there's tons of organizations out there. You could look for your local socialist orgs. It's very geographic dependent who's active in your area. 5051 has a presence everywhere, but that's very decentralized. Some of them are not very good. Some of them, like mine, are great. Just kind of have to do what you can. J-Town Action LA collects money for tents, tarps, blanket, socks. Fantastic. And that's the kind of thing that, like, you're not necessarily going to know until you know, and you're going to find out by going to protests, by talking to the people who organize. And even if you don't have a lot of time, if you don't, or some people don't feel safe, can't go to a protest because they might be undocumented, or they might be in a marginalized community that's more likely to be targeted by the cops, and so it would not be safe for them to be at a protest. You can still help. There's a lot of logistical stuff behind the scenes that you can throw in with if you're so inclined. So definitely get involved if you can. Yeah, Gavin Newsom is like, he hates two things. He hates fascists and homeless people. It's so, anyone who's shooting at fascists that's a good thing. I would prefer if they also didn't shoot at good people who are just down on their luck too. Anyways, do go protest and organize in your area. I've been doing that, and it's been taking up a decent amount of my time. So that's another thing that's been tossed on top. Okay, 3 things. He hates fascists, unhoused people, and trans people. Yeah, Gavin Newsom is not a great person. I will be the first to tell you. He's on a list of my favorite people. He would be very far from the top, but he would be above a Nazi. Anyways, yeah, all of that was exactly. He hates Trump more than those other 2 things. So he's shooting in the correct direction in terms of fighting Trump, and that's great. I am happy to utilize his hatred of the orange man as far as it is useful and jettison him the second it is not useful, because we can't afford to not utilize any tool in the fight against fascism, but we can't delude ourselves into thinking that just because someone is standing next to us fighting Trump, and that is a good thing, that is a morally good action, that doesn't mean they're good elsewhere, but you guys get it. Okay, so that's what I've been doing there in my local area, and that started back in December. And then just kind of the knockout punch you may know I'm a nuclear engineer. I couple years ago, I guess it's almost 3 years ago now, I finally got my dream job. I am a probabilistic risk assessment engineer. That means I help or I create the risk models for how nuclear plants work. It's if I could have any job in the world, it would be the job I have, which not many people get to say. I'm very lucky to be able to say that. So that's fantastic. However, because we live in a capitalist hellscape, working as a nuclear engineer is not enough to feed a family and like have a house and stuff like that. I have to have a side gig uh, in addition to my nuclear engineering gig, which is just wild. It's insane. But, anyways, in a past life, I did analysis for other things, and I do some freelance work doing analysis for companies that I had relationships with. And that's been going on for a long time. Um, that was a part-time gig. I, got paid per project. They pay me a fair wage. I make a decent amount of money, and their timelines are very reasonable. We have a great relationship. But back in May, there was one person at their company that did the thing I did for them as well. They're a full-time person. That person is no longer with that company, and so all of the work that person was doing landed on me. Now, again, I'm a contractor, so I am getting paid for this additional work. This isn't a company taking advantage of me. I'm being fairly compensated for all of this work, but the amount of work I'm doing for them tripled. Uh, and that the money's great, but it it's been exhausting. When it was September. This happened in May. In September, I was like, why am I so tired? And I look back at the calendar, and I had not had a day where I didn't do work for one or two jobs, usually two jobs, but at least one job since May. There was like a 4 or 5 month period where I did not have a single day off, just at all. Basically, any moment when I wasn't taking care, like spending time with my family, I was working. And that's pretty tiring. So it has eased up a little bit. I was able to get some legitimate time off over this December, but like it's ramped back up. Right before recording this, I put my son down. He's 6. So I've been kind of tending him all day. And in the half an hour I had to work my side job in order to move that ball forward. Like, again, I'm getting paid fairly for this, but that just soaks up all my time. And at no point during this whole thing did I sit down and say, okay, I am going to make the conscious decision to not post on YouTube anymore. It was just like every day I wanted to. Every day it was like in my mind the things I'd seen that I wanted to respond to, interesting topics. All this was always there, but like there was just literally no time. It got to the point I was so burned out. Like I'm a huge gamer, and I would fight hard to like beat back the work I had. So I had like an hour to myself at the end of the night, and I would sit down and just stare at my computer because I was so drained. I couldn't even work up the motivation to relax. That's how bad it's been. And by all signs will continue to be for the foreseeable future. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I just don't have time for to make videos and stuff like that. I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy hanging out with all you folks. I enjoy the people I've met. Some of my best friends in the world I've met doing YouTube. I don't make money off of this or anything. Like, I mean, people have generously helped to support this, and that helps like make it like cost neutral, pays for basically the subscriptions and stuff I had to run it. But like, I don't feed my family with this. This is just purely a hobby, and I just can't do it. So what does that mean going forward? Well, it means that this channel will probably be mostly dormant, at least until some of those factors go away. If we manage to defeat fascism, so I don't have that sitting on top of my head all the time, then maybe maybe that'll leave up enough room. If my second job, this whole thing with my second job was supposed to be temporary. They were just supposed to be just like hold it together for a month or two until we find somebody else, and that was 8 months ago. So, and no signs that it's moving. So, and again, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but it's still tough. You'll probably see me on like Dapper's channel. I'm still going to do TTRPGs and stuff. So you'll see me around. But I had some people like express concern. Like one person asked me if I'd like been like emailed me to like make sure I hadn't been snatched by ICE or something, which I mean, for someone who isn't me would be a much more present concern. Fortunately, they're not targeting straight, white, cisgendered, heterosexual men just yet. But anyways, yeah, so that's gonna be the case moving forward. If things change, I will fill if I get any slack in my schedule, I will do what I always have done and fill that slack immediately with the next thing I want to do, which will probably be this. Um, so yeah, that's what's been going on. How is everybody? That's everything I had to say. You all know what my life is. I put all my business out there. If anyone is interested now, you don't have to be worried or confused or anything like that. So there you go. That's what I wanted to tell everybody. Uh, I hope everyone's holiday was great. There are various holidays. The Christian ones, which are still ongoing. I guess Dapper constantly reminds us that Christmas is still ongoing, and there's like 2 Christmases he keeps track of because he always tracks the Eastern Church stuff. Um, uh, yeah, this is a great point by Pibble Punk. If you do too good a job, they'll just like keep other people. And like with this second job that I have, I sat down and I did the math. I don't want to put exact numbers out there, but I do 100% of this role's work for this company. I'm the only person doing it. So, where was I going? Oh yeah, I'm the only person doing it. And so I know exactly how much they're paying someone in this role to do it. And I know how much, if I were to work for them full time as an employee, I would be worth, if you include benefits and somewhere in the neighborhood of like $140,000. If they were to hire someone full time as an employee, that they had to pay benefits and such too. They pay me less than that. Again, I'm very satisfied with the hourly rate I make for them, but it's not that. And so, but I'm also I have a lot of experience in this industry. I've worked in this extremely niche. I would be shocked if there are 50 people in the country that do what I do for this company, and I've done it for over a decade, well over a decade. There just aren't very many people who do it. So I have more experience. I work faster, and I'm cheaper than anybody they could hire. Why would they hire somebody else? So it's both a blessing and a curse. Blessing because like my family has really needed the money. It's really, I won't go into all the things that have been going on, but like I've had to buy like 3 cars because my teenagers continue like treating like bumper cars and like it's a freaking demolition derby out there. Uh, um, so yeah, I mean, it's certainly been helpful, but also tiring. Apparently it's day 4 on the Eastern calendar. So for those of you who follow that calendar, happy 4th day of Christmas. But yeah, so I do want to circle back real quick on the organization thing. If you guys have any if you're watching this and you want to shout out any organizations that are good in your area or nationally for organizing, drop it as a comment. I'll repeat that as much as I can. There's only one fight right now. The only fight we have is the fight against fascism, because if we don't defeat fascism, then no other fight is going to happen. So it doesn't matter what topic you care about. If your most important thing are the persecution of trans people, if it's systemic racism against black and brown people, if it's the uh, the genocide that is being enacted in Palestine, regardless of what your issue is, defeating fascism in America, if you're American, is like step 1 to doing anything about that other thing. And so I can't emphasize enough how important it is that we all lock in and do every single thing we can to defeat these Nazi pieces of shit that are trying to destroy my country. And if you're fortunate enough not to live in America, don't worry. We have a great history of exporting our bullshit to everywhere else on the planet. So if we don't defeat it here, we'll come to you, I'm sure. Try not to get upset. This is supposed to be a happy stream. Yes, there's one fight. We're all in a collective struggle towards liberation. So I don't want to keep you guys forever. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it says you came in on Nazi shit. Yeah, to be fair, if you get me talking these days for any length of time, it's not impressive to guess that I would be like spewing something about how much I hate Nazis, because like that's basically at least 60% of my brain is occupied with how much I despise these thumb looking, weak willed, just insecure, worthless. Mm, I hate them so much. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid if you mention anything about current events. It is if you're willing to talk about it. Like, it is perpetually shocked. Like, I know I shouldn't be shocked, and I'm not like shocked and like, oh, I'm surprised that this is happening. You know, it's just like, so it's not something that I don't expect, but it is still like takes me aback whenever I run into someone who is just not aware of what's going on, to any degree. The fact that like you have ICE agents snatching up not just brown people, not just people who speak Spanish, and they're committing the crime of knowing a language. Doesn't matter. That's like they're snatching up citizens. They are dragging children, American children, from their beds and throwing them onto the concrete in the middle of American cities. And it's like not nobody. Obviously, the people in this chat know about it, and all the people I organize with know about it. Like lots of people know about it, but like the number of people who know about that and should care about it should be close to 100% in a rational world. I aware that there's 30% of people who are my countrymen who are just fascists. So like obviously they're going to cheer it, but like there's another 30% that just don't care, and it blows my mind. Like I'm going to fast forward. Yeah, I've been saying the exact same thing, Pretty Purple. It's all these people who are like, like how to like there's everyone every time something happens, there's somebody who that's the moment. That's the thing that triggers them. And this whole time, I'm like, it's great that you finally are aware of what's going on, but what? How this? Why is it this thing that did it? Because like I can understand. I knew that Trump was an existential threat to America before his first election, but I can understand why someone who wasn't super plugged in wouldn't necessarily have seen that coming, right? Okay. By the end of his first term, particularly January 6th, where they tried to overthrow the government, like it should have been, it's very obvious what's going on, right? And still somehow, and then Project 2025, where they just told us, hey guys, here's the fascism we're gonna do. And I cannot tell you how many people told me and like Dr. Dan, oh, you guys are overreacting. You're overreacting. That they're not gonna do that. He doesn't like. It's just a heritage thing. Yeah, ridiculous. Vashanti said, my mom literally just said it's just illegals. It like it's I'm so frustrated, because like the people who say stuff like that would have turned in Anne Frank because she was illegal by their definition. Like her existence, she had illegally crossed a border and was hiding from the Nazis. The first thing they do is they criminalize they say that the people they don't like are criminals. It is literally the exact rhetoric the Nazis used. Literally the same rhetoric, the same propaganda. They took it, they swapped out the swastikas, they put in MAGA, and they changed nothing else. It's so obvious. And here's the thing, like Vashanti points out, like they are grabbing citizens and legal residents indiscriminately. There was a person recently, I'm quoting off the top of my head, so I don't remember like their name and everything, but there was a person whose lawyers are currently fighting to get them released, who is a citizen. They've lived here their entire lives, and they were carrying proof of citizenship with them when ICE stopped them, and ICE saw their papers and said, we don't believe you. This is why every time when we were talking about the due process thing, why that was so important, because you can, if due process doesn't exist for everyone, then it exists for nobody, because if due process isn't a thing for everyone, then your rights are contingent on whether a ICE Gestapo piece of shit thinks that you look like a citizen. And if they don't like the way you look, they don't like the cut of your jib, then it doesn't matter what paper you wave around their face. They're just going to throw it on the ground and then throw you on the ground. And yeah, also, as Pebble Punk correctly points out, even if they were accurately targeting people who were undocumented, who were here, here extra legally, had overstayed their visa or whatever, even if that is all the people they were targeting, almost all of those people are just people working, paying taxes, by and large, not committing fewer crimes than citizens do, as a matter of empirical fact. Like, they're just people not hurting anyone. So even if that were true, it would still be unacceptable. But it is not true. It's simply the veil they're using to enact their authoritarian nonsense on people they don't like. It's nothing short of ethnic cleansing. Um, Andre says that indigenous actor in Washington State got told they thought her tribal identification papers were fake. Yeah, like, you can't get more legal than a native, right? Someone who's like indigenous to this area. That if anybody's legal, it would be them. But again, it doesn't. Your papers don't matter because the crime you're being accused of when ICE pulls you out of their car. It's the crime you're being accused of is not being illegal. That's not the crime. That is what they'll say, but that's not the crime. The crime you're being accused of is existing while brown. That's the crime. That is the thing. You are not sufficiently white American. That is the thing you're guilty of, you know? How is the security of America's food supply doing right now, by the way? Like, who's doing all the agricultural work? Not great. So our food supply in terms of like what we eat, consume, is not too bad right now. Like food prices have gone through the roof thanks to tariffs and everything else. So like people are struggling to feed themselves from a monetary standpoint. A lot of our agriculture goes to not feeding people. It goes to other things. So like I don't think we're necessarily in danger of mass starvation in the immediate term. But it's certainly like if we continue on the economic disaster train that Trump has us on, I could certainly see that sort of thing happening. Like, I mean, any as much as they try to tell you that things are fine, you can go to the grocery store and tell that they're not fine. Um, yeah. As Bill Punk says, there's multiple factors, lots of factors why food is expensive. Uh, Not the least of which is the global economy that they've just spiked into the ground. Because don't forget, it is not necessarily in the billionaire's best interest for the economy to be roaring. Like this may seem counterintuitive, but if you're a billionaire and the economy slumps, it doesn't impact you at all. Like Elon Musk doesn't give a shit what the stock market does. It doesn't matter to him. Like short of society collapsing entirely, he's fine. His buying power is not in any way meaningfully impacted. Like he can still live his life. But what they can do when the economy slows is they can buy up things that people who are poor can't afford to hold on to, and they'll sell for cheap because they're desperate. And it allows them to seize more power and more production. It allows them to squeeze workers because workers, when things are dire, they're not able to hold out for higher wages. It's harder for them to go between jobs, all those sort of things. So like that, it is not even necessarily their goal to make the economy work well because it's not necessarily in their interest for the economy to work well. If their interest is power, and it is, then that is not necessarily in their it is in their interest to the extent that like elections still matter for now, and that will make it difficult for them to win elections, but they're working hard to make sure that that is not a factor anymore. This exactly like I was just saying. If Shanti says farms are going under and being snapped up by huge corporations because Republicans told voters that government handouts were bad. Right. The economy is tanking. So people who are not huge mega corporations can't afford things. So they have to sell what they have to get by, which allows the rich to seize more resources. And the rich, again, they have the extra resources laying around to take advantage of this sort of thing. Yeah. Pillow Punk says, remember when a banquet hall of Trump's friends had a party to celebrate how much money they were making from the stock market crashing? Exactly. Like there's this like weird idea. And I remember having it when I was a conservative Christian, like right-wing fundamentalist, that like if we just ran the government like a business, like business people would be best at running because they want the thing, they want line go up, right? And line go up is good for everybody. But like that's not how the world works when you have that much money. When you have that much resources, like your financial well-being is to a large extent disconnected from the well-being of the economy as a whole. Not also like Donald Trump doesn't give a single flying fuck whether people are starving. Like he is fine with, if you visualize the American economy or well-being or whatever as a pool, he's fine with it being shrunk down to the size of a puddle as long as he's the biggest dick in the puddle. That's all he gives a shit about. He doesn't care about anything else. So like, as long as he can sit on top of the pile of corpses, that's all that matters to him. So yeah. Welcome to apparently a rant on like socialism and anti-fascism. I wasn't intending to do this, but here we are now. Yeah, things are bad. Things are really bad. Though I got some potential good news recently. So I haven't done a ton of research into this yet. This is my project for the new year, but I have heard and like confirmed on the Canadian government website that the rules for becoming a citizen have changed as of December 15th, 2025. If you have an ancestor, they used to be first generation only. So, like, if your parent was Canadian, you could be a Canadian citizen by virtue of that. That requirement, if you were born before then, is lifted. So, if you have a direct ancestor, can prove that they were born in Canada or in a British territory that's later incorporated into Canada, and then can prove direct descent, then you could, and they never renounced their citizenship, you could potentially become Canadian by virtue of that. And my grandmother was born in something that later became Canada. So I don't know, maybe I'll become Canadian, you guys. And then I'll have plenty of time for YouTube. Really need Mexico to open their citizenship because I can demonstrate lineage back to the early 1600s. Like, real talk, anybody. If anybody is listening to this podcast, I will. You offer me citizenship and a job, ideally a job in the nuclear industry because I'm super passionate about nuclear power, but like any reasonable job, and I'm there. Like, you can have this specialized worker today. Just let me in. Oh man. So yeah, it would actually be kind of cool to move to Canada. Not excited about the cold because I am a complete wimp when it comes to being cold. But one nice thing is that the Canadian nuclear industry is very tied into the American nuclear industry, which means that like I could potentially not have to leave this dream job of mine and just work for a different utility, which would be really cool. Prixie's working again in their Greek citizenship through their grandmother. I am very jealous because I would do terrible things to get an EU passport, as Vashani points out. Oh my God, that would be amazing. I mean, I'll take anywhere, but the EU would be just. If I won the lottery, that's where I'd be going. I'd be fleeing with the money I would need, and then I would give money to everyone I could to get out too. Yeah. I really feel for people who are not in as privileged a position as I am. Like I said earlier, like by virtue of the fact that I am very loudly and publicly an opponent of this fascist hellscape, I'm a target, and I'm also autistic, and they generally don't like people who are autistic that aren't also Nazis. So like, there's a potential that at some point I'd be targeted, but like I myself am not the target demographic for anything. So like, I know how exhausting and difficult this is for me. I can only imagine how much harder it is for people who are being directly targeted. Like it's brutal. And I have a tremendous amount of sympathy. All I can do is say that I'm fighting as hard as I can to make sure that this never happens again here where I grew up. But you know, all I can do is all I can do. A friend of mine actually and I don't know if he's doing it through this situation. I have a good friend of mine who is also Jewish, who is moving to Portugal. I think the reason he's going, I think he's getting in through like a remote worker, like what's the name for it? Like digital nomad, that sort of thing. I think that's how he's getting in. But I don't know. He's having a great time in Portugal, so you can get in. He would definitely recommend it. Yeah. You have my most heart. I don't. You have my most positive vibes. Hoping that works, because Like, I am of the opinion, like, not everyone has the means to get out, obviously, and, those of us who are here, as long as I'm here, I will be fighting fascism with every fiber I have until the second I leave, but I don't begrudge absolutely anybody for taking an escape hatch if one is available to them to flee, particularly, especially if you're in a group that is likely to be targeted. Like, you absolutely, if you can, should get out and shouldn't feel the slightest bit bad about that. Like, you know, I have heard there's a lot of things I don't like about the rhetoric that occurs in some circles of leftist talk. Usually the online group, like the offline leftists that actually do organizing and stuff that I work with, they're usually great. But I hear from other people that also call themselves leftists things like, disparaging people who are, trying to secure safety for their family. It's just gross. Like, you know, I don't like that. People who are, if you have the ability to leave, I fully endorse you leaving, and you, not that you need my permission, but I think it's a great idea. I'm definitely going to if I can. Mainly because if it were just me, yeah, we call those feds exactly. Like, if they're not, like, they, by their actions, they're enabling it. So yeah, and this is the kind of catch 22. Like, the people who are most likely to be impacted, people who are poor, people who are disabled, people who are in marginalized communities, the people who are most likely to be impacted are the very same people who have the least ability to escape or to help themselves. It's like it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion because we can all see it happening, but it's difficult to get out of the way. Yeah. I mean, and even like there are smaller moves people can they might be able to make more easily, maybe like moving within the country, but like, okay, so you move to a blue state, it's certainly better. Like, if you had to choose, it would be better to live in a blue state than a red one where the state level government is after you too, but like being in a blue state is not enough to protect you against a fascist autocracy. It's not like the Nazis are going to say like, "Oh, well, California will have to stay out of there because like we're not allowed to." Um yeah. So, but yeah, if you find your leftism or socialism or whatever arguing in ways that would hurt people, then you need to take a step back because that's not the point. Um, I have so um, I have considered the thought has crossed my mind multiple times to use the money from my retirement account to flee. Like, part of the reason I have taken on the second job that I mentioned earlier in the stream and I've been killing myself is to build up enough money that I can escape with my family if I need to. Um, um, like, so the thought crossed my mind of like, should I, like, I've been saving for retirement, but what's the point? Like, I'm not going to make it to retirement, or this money isn't going to matter if the Nazis take over. So that's definitely something I've considered doing too. Um, yeah, yeah. The and this is what I mean. Like, yeah. So LA pulled up, LA fought, which is great, fantastic. Like, but being in a blue state can't protect you. It provides some protection because there are people in your area who are opposed to it. Your local and state officials may be opposed to it and they might be able to do some things to help protect you. But you're also, as you correctly point out, you're a target because the fascists know exactly, like, they know who their enemies are. It's the people in blue states, right? And so, like, yeah. So that's what I was trying to get at is like, I have heard from some people like, "Well, just move to a blue area and you'll be fine," and that's just not true. Like, it is not true for me. And again, as I've said multiple times, I'm in a very privileged position, and it's not true for me. It would be doubly, triply not true for people who are likely to be attacked. Um, yeah, like, I would. I would love to live in precedented times for like 5 seconds. Like, I feel like my entire life has just been moving from one catastrophe to the next over and over and over again, you know? Like, I guess growing up in the '90s, I was a child, so I wasn't, like, aware of what's going on, so it felt fine, you know? Like, but, like, ever since, like, 9/11 hit and then just, like, it's been just nonstop hits the whole the whole way up, like yeah, my retirement plan right now is just, to collapse from exhaustion and throw me in the grave, I guess. Um, it has been I will say though, Vishanti's talking about people, uh, fighting back against ICE. Was very invigorating seeing it from a distance. Um you know, the people in Chicago and in LA and in other cities organizing and fighting back against ICE. That was amazing to watch. And I don't personally care if they burn every Waymo in existence to the ground. It's property, like you said, and it's owned by a company. So like I don't care. I frankly could not give a shit less if they burnt every Walmart to the ground. Like I don't care as long as no people are hurt, obviously. Um, yeah. Yeah. So anybody else got something going on? Anybody else got some stories from war-torn LA or Chicago they'd like to share? This is now just a group therapy session. We're just going to vent about fascism now until we get bored of that. It's been it is actually surreal because like I was hanging out with family this past week, obviously with the holidays and everything, and like it's surreal that like knowing not my immediate family is very much on the right side of history. I'm fortunate in that all my siblings, my mom and everybody, my mom is if anything more radical than I am. But like I know there are members of my extended family who are fascist sympathizers. I don't know which ones they are, but just like statistically, some of them are for sure. And like it is surreal sitting at a table having a good reason to believe that some of these people support what's happening, but I don't know which ones they are. You know what I mean? Like if I knew where they are, then they would be no family of mine. Anyone who licks the boots of a fascist is not my family. But yeah, crazy. I agree, Prixie. Property damage, particularly. So if it is someone's house, like obviously I'm drawing a distinction between like someone's personal property and some company's bullshit. Like, yeah, it is not cool to go burn some random person's house down. But I don't care if some mega corporation takes some property damage. I could not possibly care less. um Shanti is sharing positive news from LA. We have an extended network of mutual aid and community patrols. Whenever I see the area, the word goes out to protect people, which is phenomenal. Like I said, in my city, we've been trying to like build that infrastructure in preparation. So part of what we've been doing when we're having these protests is we're like handing out cards to people that they know their rights. We're getting people to sign up for things like that, community aid network and stuff. We're doing it intentionally to try to prepare our city as much as we can for when ICE inevitably decides it's our turn. We have an ICE facility not far from where I live. They haven't done much with it yet in our city. Not nothing. They have done some things, but it's not been the coordinated attack we've seen in LA and Chicago and other places. So we're trying to prepare ourselves for this sort of thing, but it's been very heartening to see it happening elsewhere. It's great. I really hope that when, not if, when the Nazis come into my town, we're able to step up as much as people in California, Illinois have. Yeah. It is funny that like, I mean, I get why they did it. Like the Nazis picked places that they wanted to like take the big shots first as an intimidation tactic. Same reason they went after like Yale and Harvard first, because like knock those people off and then other people will comply and advance. And so like they were trying to hit these big cities with the belief that people would just fall over, and then people in smaller, more red areas would not feel empowered. And I think that is blown up in their faces, which I think is also part of why things are escalating as quickly as they are, because like they have to go fast to outrun the consequences. They have to go faster and harder in order that like people can't organize fast enough to stop them, right? And the more people fight back, the faster they have to go. And one of the ways that I'm not super optimistic about our chances of getting out of this without widespread bloodshed, but if there is a success path, I think it lies with us continuing to put pressure on them to force them to go faster, harder, beyond what they're prepared to do, because these people are incompetent, as we've seen. And eventually they could overextend themselves to the point where they do things that finally wake up these apathetic losers who, cannot like wrap their minds around the fact that Nazis are bad. That's what I think the success path is. But like, this is something that has been happening. So Vasanti says that some schools went remote again because ICE was separating families so often by kidnapping parents outside of school. And also, and this was something that actually my county, again, ICE has not been super active here, but I have to give a shout out. My county school board is like, when my governor, who is a Republican, was like, "Hey guys, if ICE comes around, you need to support them and work with them." And my school board was like, "Hey, you can go eat shit. No ICE agent, no cops coming into our town. Like they instructed all of their employees to not cooperate with ICE. ICE is not allowed in the school. Lock the doors if they show up. And if they show up, like here, they like here from the school board. Here's your rights. Here are resources you can use. If ICE shows up and we are not able to stop them, here's what you should do." Yeah. Yeah, as Vashanti points out, there's lots of people who don't care until it affects them personally. That like we are living that poem. First they came for, like we're in the first few lines of that poem, and it is so frustrating. Like I had an argument with a family member, who I'm not going to go into all the details, but basically, like one of the things that came up in the argument was like, "But you'll be fine. But they're not coming after you. You're going to be fine." And it just like blew my mind that this person could not seem to fundamentally understand the fact that it wasn't about me. Like, even if I knew for a fact that I would be fine, other people won't. And I'm not down with that. Like, why is this? It's like, it's not. Why is that okay? And as Pixie says, they're not coming after me yet. But you know who else? Like after the person who wrote the first they came for poem was a Nazi who got sent to the camps because he wasn't sufficiently Nazi enough eventually. Like fascism is always eating itself. They always need an other. They always need some kind of person or group to vilify and to blame on all their problems. And so like it is only a matter of time before they come after you. That's literally the whole point of the poem. Like there is no one who is safe. That there's no one who is safe from fascism. If they haven't come after you, it's only because they haven't gotten to you yet, right? And so now that is in some twisted way, it is a silver lining because it's self-defeating. Like you can't the group of people who are like acceptable, who are us, get smaller and smaller, and eventually that is just not sustainable, right? Long term, you can't sustain that if you're just perpetually alienating other people. Eventually you'll run out of people, right? So but that means that the question is when and how many bodies will we need to get to get there? I would like the bodies to be minimal, please. That would be great. Yeah, you're not safe. You're just last. This is exactly the same as I've seen people in they call themselves like the LGB, drop the T, sort of like the anti-trans gay lesbian community, like or another great example is I have some neighbors down the street who are immigrants. I believe they are Egyptian, and they are super pro-Trump. They're like, yeah, get those dirty illegals out of here. And I'm like, you are the target, my guy. Like the instant they're done with them, they're coming for you. Like, it's insane. But yeah, hey Ian, how's it going? And like, He says Trump's incompetence is the only thing that's saving America from total destruction. It is shock. It is a race between the incompetence of the administration and the apathy of the American people. Like, if they were any more competent, we'd be cooked. But if the American people were less apathetic, we'd be fine. But it's just a race to the bottom with these things. People are just will not pay attention or care because it's not affecting them right now, this second. Yeah. But like, this Epstein file thing has been amusing. I mean, obviously it's disgusting and horrifying, but also like, they're, trying to redact everything that could like, obviously they need to protect the pedophiles because they are the pedophiles. And so they're trying to redact it, but they're so incompetent. Like, a lot of times you can just copy and paste it into a notepad and it's not redacted anymore because they're incompetent, because they're terrible at their jobs, because they don't hire for competency. They're hiring for loyalty and for ideological purity. Those are the only things that matter. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, if you want to see Doge, that was this year. Like, it's that feels like it was so long ago, like, it feels like that was forever ago, the whole Doge thing. And that was happening like just months ago. It was not that long ago that was still in full swing. And it feels like ancient history just because so much has been happening. It's, yeah, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah, as Punk points out, like my neighbors, like, it's not that's a great point. Like, it's not even that they're not, people like them are being targeted. They are personally not being targeted right now because ICE is not super active in my area. But if this family that lived down the street from me lived in Chicago or LA, absolutely they would be targeted because they're brown. And that's all that matters. They're brown and they speak with an accent. Good enough. Like, it wouldn't matter what papers they have because their papers don't matter, because the only thing that matters is, are you white enough? And no paper is going to turn your skin white. No paper is going to get rid of your accent. And that's all they care about. Like, it's shocking the extent to which, like, when I was trying to argue with people I knew this, and I used "knew" in the past tense because I don't keep fascists as friends, that the whole, like, due process thing, like, if the papers don't matter because the papers are not what they care about. They care about blood and soil citizenship. That's the only thing that actually matters for them, right? If they envision an America that is white, that is Christian, and is male. That is the America they want. And if you are not those things, then they don't give a shit about you. Yeah. All right. Well, we've been going for almost an hour. I can feel my face flushing with it. I mean, it's therapeutic venting, but it's also, this is so frustrating. I was talking to my daughter in the car the other day. I was kind of like wondering aloud, like, we hear stories from like Nazi Germany, and people who are like, they had no idea it happened so suddenly, and I don't believe they had no idea. That's a whole can of worms I'm not going to get into this moment. But like, I wonder, like, to what extent people in, like, early on were feeling what I'm feeling and what I'm sure many of you are feeling right now. This, like, seeing the disaster coming and people around them being oblivious and just kind of stumbling into it. I fully believe that fast forward when all this is done, eventually, as it certainly will eventually be, 10, 20, 30, however many years in the future we need to go to. First of all, you won't find a MAGA individual. You won't find a person who supported Trump in that time. Suddenly they'll all be gone, right? Not a single, you won't be able to find a single person who voted for him. But I guarantee you, you go 20 years in the future and you will find people like, it just came out of nowhere. Just one day I woke up and it was like this. It just happened so fast, yeah. And I'm not sure what to do, but what I'm doing is organizing, engaging in mutual aid to the extent I can, protesting as much as possible. Strongly recommend you guys do that. So If you have any organizations that you think are good and people should hear about, put them in the comments. Hopefully, if we get one more person out on the streets, I think that'll be worthwhile. But until either my side job goes away or we defeat fascism, just know if I'm not here, I'm either gaming, I'm working, or I'm fighting Nazis. So I'm doing one of those three things. If you want to hang out with me, maybe I'll do a hangout like this every once in a while. We just vent about fascism because that doesn't take any preparation. So this can just be a venting channel, I guess. But otherwise, you'll find me on Dapper's channel every Friday if you want to see me pretend to be Star Trek. Though shortly we'll be doing Warhammer 40k, so that should be fun. We'll be fighting as like space fascists, I guess, which is therapeutic, I suppose. Anyways, thanks so much for coming. Really like hanging out with you people. I hope that I can see all of you again soon. Hopefully it won't be 4 months before I get to talk to all of you again. But until next time, remember, you always have reason to doubt.